Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to midweek yoga. Hopefully, you got to practice a little bit from last week, some of the recording that I sent. If you didn't and you want to go with this recording, just make sure you watch that intro that I had sent on that email. And it's always fun to follow up with a meditation. There was a meditation attached to that as well, and I'll send another one that will kind of go with today's theme. Just making sure that you have some blocks or some books that you can lean on or balance on each side of your mat. Also, some furniture is always good to have if you need to lean on anything. I also recommend a pillow. We're going to do something called a puppy pose, and sometimes it's nice to just lean on that. And then also a blankie. So if you need to go grab that, that's fine. Get yourself set. We're going to sit. Actually, we're going to lay down. We're going to go to our backs. It's called a recline restorative pose. So what you do is you're going to lay back and you're going to put your knees together and your feet are going to come out to the sides of the mat. If you want, you can pigeon toe your feet a little bit. That also helps take some of the pressure off. Going to slowly relax and recline. Now, knees are coming together, and again, the feet can be close to the buttocks. They can be a little bit further out. As long as your feet are spread apart and your knees are together, just drawing in naturally. If anything feels wonky in your hips or your knees, it's okay to not do the pose. Just find your comfort zone and where you feel good with your body. And then I'm going to ask you to lay your hands on your abdomen. And just kind of start a natural breathing pattern, just settling in. If you're comfortable with closing your eyes, fantastic. If that's not part of your comfort and you like to just keep watching me, that's fine too. And then maybe on the recordings, you'll be able to settle in a little bit better once you sort of know the practice. So again, just breathing naturally, maybe coming in through the nose. If you feel comfortable coming out through the mouth in the beginning, that's fine. Just start to notice and observe the room around you. Start to feel the connection of the toes, the balls of the feet, the heels, and how they feel connected to the mat, to the floor below. Maybe the floor is below that, finally into the earth. Feeling the sits bones and the hip bones open up and draw back. Notice if you have a good connectivity of the lower back to the floor. If not, maybe just make a little adjustment of the pelvis and see if you can press in just a little bit, just to feel that grounding. And as you relax and melt into the pose, if you start to curve up a little bit, it's okay. No judgment. Feeling the connectivity of the rest of the spine, the shoulders drawing back, maybe the back of your head. Just drawing in, feeling the earlobes and the cheeks. Draw back and relax. The back of the arms melting in to the floor, floors below. Really feeling the earth support you. Bringing in tonight the concept of equal inhales and exhales. Through the breath, we gain presence, mindfulness. We get to experience being here in the now. So maybe on your next inhale in, you start to count how long you need to fill up the belly. And then begin to exhale through the nose the same amount of time it took to fill up the belly. See if that helps you release the belly. And when you're at that bottom of that exhale, see if you can just pause, maybe for a count of 1 or 2. I don't want you really holding your breath here, but just notice that inhalation, the exhalation, and just the pause at the bottom. During the inhalation, imagine the air coming into the body is nurturing and healing, bringing you energy. On the exhalation, imagine any hurt or disturbances in the mind, any feelings of stress or tension in the body start to be released. And at the pause, notice that sense of relief, that sense of just floating, that sense of nothingness. Again, on the inhale, feeling the expansion of the belly. Nothing special, nothing unique. And on the exhale, again, just being here, being now. And allowing that air and that absorption to happen in the pause, almost like a little mini shavasana, a little rest at the end of each of the poses in our practice today. And throughout the practice, I'll be drawing you in to come back to the breath, to release and perhaps lengthen or twist on the exhale, or maybe it's grounding down, stabilizing the body, and just experiencing that moment of pause in between before we take our next cycle of breath. When you're ready, you're going to start taking the knees and bringing them over to the right and to the left, keeping the legs spread apart, just little light windshield wipers. It's okay to move your hands down to the mat if you need a little bit more stability in your rock back and forth. Just trying to keep the connectivity of both sits bones, both hips still on the earth. We're not going in for wild turning quite yet, just easing ourselves into the practice. Maybe when you go to the right, you exhale, and as you come up through center, you inhale for the pause, and you exhale to the left. Or maybe you want to take a full inhale on one swoosh, a full exhale on the other swoosh, and then notice that pause on one side or the other. And then just start to come into a normal breathing pattern. Next time your legs are to the left, we're going to take that right knee and we're going to bring it up a little bit towards the left knee. Now we're allowing the entire hip area to open up and turn over to the side. Again, if your knees are higher, great. If they're low, if you can make that connection or not, no big deal. Maybe taking your left hand, putting it on top of your right thigh or your right knee. Opening up your right arm. Maybe it's straight out to the side. Maybe it's at an angle above the shoulder. Or if that's too strenuous, maybe a goal post. You can do that with both arms, kind of like a cactus pose. The key here is to keep the shoulders grounded. And just breathe into that twist. And maybe take the gaze over to the right arm, to the right wall, or the right hand. And just breathing in. Let's take about 5 breaths in through the nose. If you need to sigh out through the mouth just to release some tension that might be building in that right hip, go ahead. Next inhale, legs rise up to the center, and we come over to the other side. Again, bringing that left knee close to the right knee, maybe taking the right hand over that left knee or thigh, and stretching out that right arm, that left arm, and looking over towards the left. Still trying to fill up the belly on the inhales, fully releasing on the exhales. Count of 5 on your own. Next inhale, legs rise up to the center, feet on the ground. Start to pick up that right knee, draw it towards you. You can use your hands. Flexing the foot, we're going to bring that leg up to the ceiling as if you're standing on the ceiling. Start to feel the energy in the leg by the engagement of the muscles. Maybe imagine drawing that kneecap down towards the body. Maybe being able to lift up your arms and clasp your hands behind your leg without pulling at the shoulders, without pulling at the neck. If that's happening, don't bother. Just see if you can give it a couple of little pumps towards the face. Again, your eyes can be closed or open, whatever feels good for you. And then bring that foot down. Come up with the other leg. As if you're standing on the ceiling, pressing in, pulling towards the face, just a couple of pumps. Just to start loosening up that back hamstring. From all the sitting that we've been doing lately, that seems to get a little bit tight and tense, especially when you're not getting up enough from your computers or your television sets. Lowering that leg, bringing up the right leg again. We're going to cross it over the left thigh. So be sure to make your ankle far enough away so that you're not leaning bone on bone. So wiggle your ankles a little bit. Make sure that you have space. And then we're going to take the right hand and we're going to press away from us the right knee. Really opening up the hip flexor here. Again, a couple of breaths. And then we're going to start to lift that left knee towards the chest. So that's going to bring us into a reclined pigeon. And if that doesn't feel comfortable for you, it's totally okay to just stay here with the right hand pressing the knee. You're doing some good work already. And if you can't get your knee all the way to the chest and you want to leave it out here, that's fine. I recommend sometimes just putting my hands in between my legs, grabbing the back of the thigh, and manually pulling it. You can also grab it from the top knees and pull towards the chest. Flexing both feet, starting to get some energy in there. And if you're ready, start to lift that left leg towards the sky with the flexed foot. And again, if you can get your hands around the back, great. You can also lift up without pulling too much at the shoulders. A couple of breaths here. And if you're feeling really adventurous, maybe you can walk your hands up the back of your calf. Not to exaggerate or stretch the shoulders. Bobble out the head. Maybe smile. Open up your eyes. Just to make sure there's no tension in the face. Usually when we start to tense something in the body, the first thing to go is the face. Something in there starts to clench and tension. So let's just keep it cool. And when you're ready, lower both legs down. Lift the left leg, cross it over the right. Same thing here, we're going to press in with the left hand this time. Just opening up that left hip flexor. Keeping that foot flexed. Going in for the knee bend on the right. either grabbing it through the back or the top. Just keeping those feet flexed and really starting to feel that energy go through the legs. Couple of breaths. Leg rises up. And again, we're going to draw that towards our nose, or imagine we can. And again, if you really want to go for the stretch, reach up around the calf without stretching out the neck and exaggerating the shoulders. Lifting maybe from the core and that lower or that mid back. Release both legs to the floor. Grab both knees towards the chest, and we're going to rock in the direction of the tailbone. So that might look like this to some of us. That might look just like this to some of us. And maybe some of you guys can just go totally crazy. Maybe your feet come over your head. But we're going to end up in a little cross-legged sit position. Coming in to table, so just turn over. And we're going to be doing some cat-cows, or as I like to say, cow-cat, because it always starts with the cow. And that would be lifting your tailbone up, raising your shoulders. Your gaze goes up towards the corner of your room with an inhale, belly dropping down. So as if you have a string pulling the belly down. Inhale for cow. Exhale, stretching so that your mid-back is now pulling up towards the ceiling with a string. Shoulders drop, hips drop, head drops for cat. And just to change it up, I'm thinking we're going to do some circles with this. So it's going to look like this. The cow is going to come to the top of the circle. The cat is going to move. You're going to dip your hips to the left. So I'll show you this way. Cow. Dip your hips to the left. Start to lift up your back for cat. Come all the way back as if you're almost in a child's pose. Then move to the right hip and come up for cow. So again, some circles here. And you determine what you want to do with your breath. If you still feel good inhaling in cow and exhaling on the rounded cat, great. Just make sure that if you're going to do some circles, keep track of how many you're doing on the one side, and then we're going to switch over to the other side. Sometimes it feels good to actually inhale on the cow and exhale on the cat because your abdomen is crunching against your legs. So when you exhale, you're releasing that air and you're able to really scoop the belly when you come down for that almost child's pose. And then just remember to switch sides. Really stretching out the tailbone, stretching out the shoulders, the hips. Taking nice breaths. When you're ready, you're going to come back to table. And just to keep that movement, sort of our be here now theme, is being able to move through the body and move through the mind, but still be able to stay present in what you're doing and not forgetting to breathe. So what I'd like to try, I'm going to show you on this side, is we're going to put some weight into the right hand of that table. And again, I hope your table is nice and lined up. A good way to measure that line up is by taking your middle fingers and turning them in, turning the hands out. That's going to give you a nice alignment. And then the knees come right under the hips. Once we're getting into the right side and putting some of that weight, we're going to kickstand the right foot out. Kickstand the right foot out, we extend that left foot down to the bottom of the mat. So the outer edge of your foot is coming parallel to the outer edge of the bottom of the mat. Again, a nice perpendicular line from the hand to the shoulder, your body right above. And we're going to reach up, hand over head, really stretch out that elbow and form an angle. So we're pressing from the edge of our foot all the way to the tip of our fingers. And maybe you might need to move that foot in front of you a little bit, and here's why. On the movement, if you decide this is your inhale, come to table for your exhale, kickstand the left foot, and now bring the right foot over for the other angle pose. And we're just going to keep breathing in and out and getting some movement. Imagining you're a 3D shape. Maybe you're inside an egg. And the feet are at the bottom, the largest part of the egg. And the arms are just whisking across the inside of the shell, the top of the egg. Really feel your momentum. Be in the present with your breath. Maybe even your visual. Start to see how far you can lean back into your side angle, how far you can stretch, and maybe notice that your vision is becoming more and more advanced. You can see more things in the room. A couple more of those. And when you're ready, we're going to come to table. Curling the toes under, lifting the hips up, scooping out the belly for a bent leg down dog. Heels are going to draw towards the back. Hips are drawing up. Knees are bent. Head comes between the arms. And let's not forget in the demo, we're going to rotate our arms in that down dog. So your fingers are spread, but your elbows are rotating outwards. That's going to help you take a lot of pressure off of your shoulders. Really lifting in. When you're ready, press up into that dog. Heels drawing back. We're ready to start sun salutations. So we're going to come up on the toes. I'm going to lift that right foot. Now again, for some of you, that might be here, might be here. Maybe you get it all the way up here. On the exhale, bringing the knee to the nose, the head drops down. On the inhale, leg comes back. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, legs come back. On this last exhale, knee to nose, see if you can get your foot to come up between your hands. So scooping the belly out on that exhale will help again. And maybe you'll notice that your right knee is inside your right armpit. That's a perfect high lunge. So your heel is off the mat, and we're gonna press up and step to our feet together, front of the mat. And just exhale, maybe taking the elbows, making a nice square, hanging. If that's too much pressure on your back, it's okay to bend your knees and really just sink your chest and lean over like a shelf for your forward fold. When you're ready, we're going to press into the floor. One vertebrae at a time, knees straighten, and we start to lift up. Again, if that's too much for you, get up however you can. Slow is always the best way. Standing in Tadasana, and again, Tadasana we're going to do tonight with our feet together on the floor, if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, you can do a hip distance apart. You can always measure that with your two fists right into the arch. But preferably a nice sturdy mountain pose. So we're going to be drawing in again like we did on the floor. Muscles contracting, knees drawing up. Maybe just the lower glute engaged, drawing in the belly. Arms come down like waterfalls. No scrunching at the shoulders. At the top of your mat. Tadasana. On the inhale, arms rise up. We're going to bring our hands to prayer as if we're pulling energy from the atmosphere, bringing it into our heart, lowering our chin and setting an intention for this evening. We know that we're in the here and the now, but maybe there's a special person or a special purpose that you would like to just have a moment and think about. Sending that wish out, sending that prayer out, sending that thought or intention out. On the next inhale, arms rise up, big open, big scoop. Hands come up, nice straight elbows without scrunching up our shoulders. We want to kind of drop those arms into the sockets for upward salute, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, we're going to reverse swan dive down to that forward fold, Uttanasana. Hands come onto the shins as we press up, almost a flat back, very similar to cow, a little tiny little micro back bend for a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, hands come down. I'm going to take that left foot and bring it back. Shin comes down, top of the foot is flat. As we press off that front foot, we're going to rise again with those big sweeping arms, just like we did an upward salute. Coming into a low lunge. Anjaneyasana, we're going to just tilt it back a little bit, little crescent. Exhale, hands come to the floor around that foot, curling that back toe under. Right foot steps back to join the left, and we come back into downward dog. Inhale for plank. Exhale, knees come down. Maybe we flatten those feet again. We drop the torso down, scooping the chin for low cobra. Curling the toes back. We're going to come into our child's pose. One breath here. Curl the toes back into downward dog. Let's try the other side, coming up on our toes. Lifting the left leg now, as far as you can. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale back. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, try to come through. Sometimes this foot gives me a little trouble, so I physically have to pick it up and move it between my two hands. And really feeling that knee is like a ball and a mitt right here on my armpit. Nice high lunge. Really engaging in the back leg as we push up to bring that leg up to the front. Forward fold. Inhale, upward lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway, shining the heart. Exhale, hands plant down. This time the right foot steps back. We come into that low lunge, lifting up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands come down. Left foot steps back. Downward dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, low cobra. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, curl toes under, downward dog. Looking up forward at the front of our mat, we're going to start to walk our feet between our hands. So 2 ways to get to the front of your mat. 1 is by a big step. 2, just walk up. On the inhale, arms rise. Again, scooping all that energy, bringing it in to Anjali Mudra, Tadasana pose. When we're ready, we're going to put our arms out to the sides. We can also start this way, keeping your hips forward. Your arms will come out. And again, alternating your breaths. So coming sort of like a helicopter. Trying to keep the feet together, really keeping a stable bottom. We don't want the hips to turn too much. And just start to get that A little bit of momentum, some motion. And maybe again, you're inhaling on one, exhaling on the other. See if you can gaze over that backhand. See if that allows you to open up a little bit more. And maybe on your exhale, really squeezing the belly towards the backbone. You can go as slow or as quick as you need to. Don't want anyone getting tired or dizzy. And when you're ready, come back to settle down into Tadasana. Taking the hands onto the hips, picking up that left leg. We're going to step it back, setting up for warrior two. So it's a pretty far expanse. The angle of my camera makes it look a little closer than it really is. But you want to go as far as you can without having that knee go over the toes. You want that left foot, the heel to kick back, and the right toes to point just about the upper left side, left toes, to point up to the upper left side of the mat. Turn your bodies towards the camera, towards the screen. Have your hands on your thighs and lift up. So again, those are parallel to the floor, perpendicular to the body. Palms are facing down, and we're going to gaze over that right finger and really bend into that front knee. Now the front knee needs to draw to its side. So in this case, the right knee is going to be drawing back towards the right. A nice low Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. Inhale, the left hand's going to slide down the back thigh as we turn the palm up now, keeping that front leg still bent. Exhale, leaning back for peaceful warrior. Taking a breath here, gazing up at maybe the elbow crease. Inhale, rising up, we're going to straighten that front leg. Reach for our block or our book, or if you need a piece of furniture. Two ways of going into triangle. One is using the block, maybe on the highest point, bringing it right up against your inner right ankle. Or you can actually use your hand, sliding it down the shin, giving a little bit of that outward rotation of the elbow. Settling in, really grounding into the feet. Taking this hand and almost grabbing your right rib cage as if your right rib cage could go and reach up and look at the sky. Hand comes up, maybe the gaze, your drishti goes up to your thumb. Being very careful not to collapse the right side of the body. We don't want to collapse the shoulders. Keep a nice distance there from the earlobe. Couple of breaths here. Maybe at the end of one of these breaths, you can find the pause. Find your Shavasana. Really engaging the kneecaps. Maybe lifting up the toes, making sure that the skin under the foot is nice and flat, nice stability. And when you're ready, we're going to bend that right knee, using a lot of core strength here and a lot of leg strength. We're going to be pushing up, turning the toes again towards the camera or the screen, paralleling the feet. Arms rise up for 5-pointed star. Nice inhalation here. And exhalation through the mouth. We're going to come down on our knees, a little crouch for goddess pose. And we can all be goddesses. Inhale. I'll show you what that looks like from the other side. We're going to do about 5 of these. As if you're sitting down. Really imagine that your body's just dropping straight down. And again, if that's hurting your back or you don't feel that you have the right alignment, we can practice that some other time. Don't go crazy. Next, inhale as you rise up, turning the left toes towards the back, pivoting that right foot now so that we're doing warrior 2 on this side of the room. So that right foot now is going to be pointing up to the right corner of that mat. Maybe opening up your stance a little bit. We want to bend in for that warrior 2. Facing the camera, leaning down. Reaching for the block on this side. Also putting the block maybe right here, in front of the ankle. Getting a nice stability. We're going to keep the knee bent. So if you notice, that's a whole line happening right here. We'll wind up. And you can also see that there's space on your left side. We're going to do that same trick. We're going to pull that left rib cage up towards the ceiling. Arm comes up, and perhaps it sweeps over the ear. This time we're doing this in the standing position. We were doing it on the floor before on our knee. This is an extended side angle, and really pressing in the outer edge of that foot, imagining a whole corridor opening up of energy through the body as you breathe in, breathe out. Seeing if you can draw that right hip towards the ground, forward and towards the ground. And then the whole rib cage on the top, the chest opens up. You can almost lean into it. And the leg is helping you lean back. It's nice stability. Okay, look down towards the ground. Lower your hands, move off your block. We're going to walk our hands back over to parallel feet, except this time we're in a nice folded position, a forward fold. And see if you can just kind of rock back and forth with the knees, opening up the inner thighs. Maybe you want to do some circles, going back on your heels, up on your toes. Again, if you can't make contact with the floor, use your friends, the blocks, or the books. See if you can do that. If you want to just kind of take a little fold, a little bit further, you can stack them together, put your arms down. Coming into stillness, we're going to point the right toe back towards the front of the mat, the left heel's kicking back. Setting up one more time for warrior two. Exhale, hands windmill down, framing that front foot. Right foot steps back to plank. Exhale, downward dog. This time we're going to come into warrior two a different way. So we're going to peel up. You know what? Maybe we won't. Let's just walk up to the front of the mat. We'll keep it all the same. Rising up, scooping up your energy, bringing it down to the heart. Tadasana. Stepping now that right foot back. And this is good. You can see it on the other side, how my body looks the other way. Pointing that right toe up towards the upper right part of the mat. Left toe pointing forward, leaning in, bringing it out towards the camera. That left knee pulling towards the camera. Turning away from the camera. Arms rise up, leaning in, gaze coming over that middle finger for warrior two. Right hand draws down the back of the right thigh as the left hand comes up and over the head for peaceful warrior. Exhale, straightening that front leg, reaching for that block, getting it in front of the ankle. Or in my case, I like to do the shin. This time I'll do the ankle with the block. Getting that nice alignment. Taking that rib cage, taking the right hand, wrapping it around the left rib cage, pulling it up towards the ceiling. Hands follow. Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Start to get into your breath again. Notice in your body what might be tense or stressful or straining. Breathing in, allowing the face muscles to relax. And if you're feeling really adventurous, we're going to take that right hip, bring it forward and down like we did on the other side in side angle. And we're going to reach back. See how much you can really twist and open up that chest. When you're ready, we're going to bend that left knee, place the block out of the way, pressing in, lifting up, 5-pointed star on this side of the room. Nice inhale, exhale, out of the mouth, inhale. 3 more times. Really good to have the music here because you sound crazy. It muffles it. Turning the right toes towards the back, kicking back that heel on the left. Left toes pointing towards the left front of the mat. You got it. Leaning in. Warrior two on this side. Exhale, we're going to reach for that block, putting it on the inner part of the ankle. Again, you'll see really better from this side, that full line up, the bent knee, straight arm, taking that rib cage from the right, pulling it up towards the ceiling. Hand comes up, bringing that arm over the ear, allowing that left hip to now come forward and down, actually giving you more space to lean back into your side angle. A couple of breaths here on your own. When you're ready, look down at the ground, move your block out of the way. You're going to walk your hands back over towards the long part of the mat, paralleling the feet. And this time, instead of our side to sides, maybe we try to make a nice forward fold. If this is not in your practice and it doesn't feel right, it's okay to just hold yourself up with your arms. I'm going to come back here and show you. You can just hold up. Maybe you create a little back bend in your forward fold. That's always a good time. Maybe just shining that heart. Otherwise, again, feel free to take any of your props. You can even create a scaffold. Pile of a bunch of books, bring over a cocktail table. See how far you can get your legs open. Maybe pigeon toeing that stance helps a little bit as you come down for your fold. If you're feeling super adventurous, you can start to take away some blocks. You can even lean on one block. You might grab a blankie and come all the way down. If you're feeling crazy adventurous, you can always bring your elbows together. Come up for handstand. Just breathe. Slowly come down if you did attempt a headstand, Francine. Blanket out of the way. Get your props out of the way. Hands come to the hips as you slowly rise. Super slow, super slow, super slow. Slow, slow, slow. Take a couple of cleansing breaths here as we point that right toe back towards the front. You got it. Left toe is going to kick, or left heel's going to kick. Toes are going to go to the front. Bending into that front leg. Opening up the chest. Warrior two. Windmill down. Hands frame the foot. Step back to plank. Knees come down. Child's pose. See if you can make contact with your forehead onto the mat. If not, you can always bring a block. I want you to take about 5 cleansing breaths here. Really start to heal from that extra breathing. Start to calm down the nervous system a bit. See if you can get to that be now sensation. Maybe at the end of the 5 breaths, you get to squeeze in a nice little pause that allows you to have a moment of Shavasana before we come back up to table. When you're ready, coming up to table, curling the toes under, lifting for down dog. Heels coming to the back of the room. Maybe walk out your feet a little bit, a little walk of the dog. Coming up on the toes, bending the knees. The hands now are going to walk towards the back of the mat. Bending in those knees again. We're going to lift up. Just a nice spring. Again, bringing the energy in. Hands together. And now comes the fun part. Little challenge, little balance challenge. So we're going to do tree pose tonight. And tree pose can look a couple of different ways. Starting to get that weight of the body in the left leg. Again, engaging it like we did in Tadasana. Knees drawing up. Maybe the lower glute is engaged. Belly kind of coming in on the exhales. Nice shoulders. Hands to the hips. First part is just taking that right knee, turning it out to the side, coming up on the ball of your foot, and just balancing that heel on top of your inner ankle. It's going to look like this from the side. See, it looks like I just have one leg. We don't want to be here. We don't want to overdo it. We just want to be right there. That's one way, and that's a perfect tree. Another way is you might feel enough balance grounding in that left leg to bring your arch of your foot and notice like it fits perfectly right around your calf or the inner calf. Again, that knee is drawing towards the back. Hip bones are going straight. So it looks like you're on one leg from the side. Perfectly respectable tree pose. It's also perfectly respectable to lean on any furniture. All right. The final variation would be the actual tree pose. Again, same rules apply. You're getting stability in the hips, stability in that left leg, and maybe you're able to grab that right ankle, pressing it into the inner thigh as high as you can. A nice meaty part, lots to press in. Drawing that knee out, drawing up the body. And once you feel your stability, start to lift the chest. And you can do this in any of the other poses. Start lifting the chest and raising the arms. Maybe come into prayer hands for tree pose. And imagine you have one long energy line coming from the foot. You're drawing up energy from the earth, pressing the feet into the either thigh or earth, supported by your knees, lifting of the chest. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, hands come down, knee comes forward, foot comes down to the earth. Let's wiggle it out and try it on the other side. So again, you pick here, here, or here. I'm half on my mat, half off. That's probably not a good idea. So find a nice stability in your footing. Again, remember what we were saying before. Make sure that that skin at the bottom of your foot, the sole of your foot, is nice and flat, right? You want that true stability. You need a flat surface. But we don't want to grip on the toes, okay? We don't want to like have too much action there. And then when you're ready, when you're feeling stable, hands can come up. I need to be on my mat. Hands come up, reaching through the chest, through the rib cage. Sorry, I knew they would bark. Straightening those elbows, really feeling the lift. Maybe even having a moment of pause, a little moment of Shavasana. No judgments. Just be here now for yourself, for no one else. And when you're ready, arms come down, knees come to the front, and you lower your leg. So now that was all happening, hopefully at the back of your mat. If it wasn't, that's fine. You can join me back here. Going into chair pose now, nice neutralizing pose after all those hip openers and a couple of twists that we were doing. So we're gonna act like we're sitting back in a chair. You can't really see me, I'm gonna step up a little. Maybe even take your hands and push them into that crease, or your thumb, pushing into that crease. The goal here is to almost get parallel with your thighs to the ground, almost as if you're leaning on your legs. Looking forward, lifting the chest. We're going to raise the arms and then raise the arms again so that they're almost at the same level as the ears. We're going to sit in that pose like a chair. A little bit more. A little arch in the back like we have that little cow pose. And then when you're ready, inhale, rise up. We're going to step forward with the right leg. So right toe is pointing forward. Left toe is going to actually point more towards that corner of the mat. So it's going to look like this, like almost like a railroad track. We're not on a tightrope. We're on a railroad track. So we want those hips facing forward. These are all neutral hip poses. Once we've got that distance, we're going to do that same test, making sure that that knee can come forward, but not too far over the front toes. And when you're ready, arms are going to lift, just like we did in chair, leaning back, warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Really get in there, soak into that foot, soak into the legs, nice, sturdy back leg, holding you up. Lift of the chest without lifting the shoulders, up to the ears. When you're ready, going for that block that's nearby. Taking the block and putting it once again in front of your ankle. This time we're going to straighten that leg. So we're sort of in a pyramid pose. So we're here in warrior one. We're going to straighten the leg. And we're going to reach out as if we're reaching for something. The left hand is going to come to that block. And the right hand is going to start to twist up. Now again, you might have to remind your body to take hold of that left rib cage. Wrap your right arm around it. Start bringing that left rib cage up. Hands come up to the ceiling. And if that's too much for you, again, use a piece of furniture. Just trying to get that rib cage up and open. If you need to pick up your heel, you can do so. But you might want to bend the front knee and do it more of a reverse lunge. So two options here. Bending into the front leg, heel up, or straightening the front leg, heel down. That's a reverse triangle. Pavrita Uttita Trikonasana. Woohoo! Exhale, looking down at the feet. Move the block out of the way. Hands come down to frame that foot. Foot steps back to plank. Downward dog. Knees come down. Quick little child's pose, 2 breaths. Third exhale, rising up, downward dog. Coming up on the toes, bending the knees, walking the hands back towards the feet. One more time. Bending the knees, really springing up, grabbing all that energy, bringing it to our heart. Sitting back for chair. Arms rise up. Really leaning in. Maybe your gaze is at the top corner of the room. Little mini back bend. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, we're going to step that left foot forward for warrior one on this side. Now the right toes are going to point to the right corner. You're going to get on your railroad tracks. Bending into that left knee. When you're stable and you know you got there. My right ankle is not so compromising. That's my driving foot. You guys know me. I drive a lot. So I don't have as much flexibility in that foot. I'm going to inhale, rising up for warrior one. Nice little back bend. Opening up the chest. Sinking in on that leg. Reaching again for that block. And I think I'm going to take it with my heel up, my reverse, my revolve. And sometimes even moving the block out a little bit further is nice for stability. So it can even look something like this as opposed to right here. All right, especially on the lunge. So we got the lunge for me. Reaching that left arm up. Revolved. Lunge. Really getting the energy out the fingertips. Seeing if you can find a little breath at the end for your pause. When you're done, look down at the ground. Hand comes to the ground, move the block out of the way. Stepping back to plank. Knees come down, child's pose, couple of breaths. Next exhale, we're gonna rise up, curl the toes under, downward dog. Ooh, nice little reach in here. When you're ready, come back down, knees down, table. We're gonna slowly lower down to the ground. So allow the body to come down, kind of like what we do in our vinyasa, except we're gonna stay on the ground. Now, for some of you with tweaky lower backs, this might not be an option. Feel free to bring your arms to the top of the mat, palm over palm, forehead to the top of your hands. Maybe toes are pointing towards each other, or spread them out a little bit. This is called crocodile pose. Really, you're just breathing in, allowing the third eye to sink into the earth. That's that spot right between your eyebrows. And for those of you who want a little bit more of a back bend challenge, same pose, we're gonna reach our arms in front, we're gonna tent our fingers. And we're gonna exhale and just lift the chest. So we're pushing off of the fingers, allowing the core strength to lift the chest. We're not coming up from the shoulders or tension with the chin or the neck. Just a couple of lifts on the exhale. Inhale down, exhale up. Next, we're gonna get the feet involved. So, toes curl under. We're gonna engage the knees, so we're lifting the knees up. We're gonna imagine that we can draw our tailbone towards that back wall, towards our heels. At that same time, you're gonna bring those sits bones in. So it's almost like squeezing your butt cheeks, but you're sort of squeezing and drawing down as opposed to squeezing up. And if you can really imagine that tailbone coming out towards your heels, it'll be less of a pinch. In fact, it'll reduce the pinch drastically. So again, just squeezing there, seeing how that feels. See if you can lift the chest at the same time. And then when you're ready, we're gonna sweep the toes back, point the toes towards that back wall, engaging the glutes, drawing the tailbone, and maybe see if you can sweep your hands back for a locust pose. So the palms are facing up, reaching up towards the ceiling, engaging the chest, the abs, reaching through that middle spine, the thoracic spine, pointing the toes, exhale, release. Head comes to the side. Take a couple of breaths. We're gonna do it one more time. And inhale, exhale, rise up. The more you draw your knees and your feet together, the higher you can go, the better the back bend. Lifting your chest, imagining it drawing towards the front of the room and your toes drawing towards the back, tailbone drawing towards the back, pelvis going into the mat. Exhale, head comes to the other side. And forgive me, but I should have told you, you can also put a blanket, just a one-fold blanket right under your hip bones. If you're sensitive or your mat is a little thin, definitely on the practice, if you want to follow the recordings, I would recommend that. All right. I'm going to just come to a little crocodile pose quickly and just shake out the hips. You can do that with your toes curled under. That takes some pressure off your lower back. If it feels better to point your toes in. And when you're ready, we're going to just roll over to our backs. Or you know what? We're not. We're going to do a puppy pose. To give a little forward fold. Sometimes you want to counter a back bend with a forward fold. In fact, you always want to do that. So we neutralize the spine by wiggling the hips, and then we count and we do a little puppy pose. So I really recommend a pillow for this if you've never done it before. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's really a child's pose, except it's up on the knees. So your thigh is parallel to the floor. I'm sorry, perpendicular to the floor, as opposed to being parallel to the floor. So we're going to come up here, and then all we do is come down on our forearms, put our hands ahead of us, maybe start to slide them out. Maybe that forehead comes down to the ground. Maybe the chest starts to lower as well. Really breathing into the third eye. And again, use your props. If you think maybe having a block under your head is a help. If you think having a pillow, again, taking the edge of the pillow, really jamming it into those creases in your hips. You can just fold over your pillow or your bolster. You can just let go on your brick. You can even put your brick to the highest level. Oh, so good. You want to come up again, make those legs perpendicular. Follow the real traditional puppy pose. That's it, you got it. A couple of breaths here. Super easy, or it should be getting easier to find that pause, that little shavasana after each of your exhales. Hopefully it's getting easier now. We're starting to calm down the parasympathetic nervous system. When you're ready, you're going to just put the props to the side. Come onto our hip. Come into a sitting pose. Legs come out, Dandasana pose. And we're going to just slowly, I'm going to come back a little bit. We're going to just slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll down to the ground. Get into that position we started in. I'm just going to give you a couple of core exercises because I always like to add a little core in at the end. We're going to lift that foot up to the sky like we did the last time. Left foot is on the ground, right foot is up towards the ceiling. See if we can pump it again. Notice the change in your body. You know, do you feel that your leg is lighter? Do you feel like it's stiffer? Do you feel that there's a lot of energy happening there now? You have pins and needles. And then slowly start to lower it to the ground. Engaging the belly, allowing the belly to draw towards the earth. Bringing the knee up. Same thing on the other side. Flexing the foot. Giving it a couple of pumps. When you're ready, slowly lower it down. Knee comes up. We're going to come up on our forearms. We're going to try the same thing. Except this time when the right foot comes up, the left foot's going to slide out. So we're almost scissoring. We have like an engagement in both of the legs. You're definitely going to fall into your shoulders here. There's really no other way around it. You can start to lift your chest up to the sky. That might help a little bit. See how that changes maybe the angle of your leg when you lift your chest. And then we're going to slowly lower that right leg down for an exhale. Sorry, for an inhale. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, filling the belly is really hard on these core exercises because you don't want to push your muscles out. You want your muscles to grow in. So exhale allows that space on the belly to get the leg higher up. Exhale down. Again, if that's not in your practice and you just want to do this, that works too. One more. Let's go to the other side. If rising up on your forearms is not in your practice, you can try this just flat. We're really engaging the core, forcing the belly to draw back towards the backbone on the exhale. forcing the belly muscles to contract in on the inhale, which is super hard. Just that concentration alone allows you to be in the here and now because there's no other place to be. When you're ready, both legs are going to draw up to the sky. It's almost like a little forward fold right here. Legs engaged. Let's try to take it down for the inhale. Exhale, lift. You guys know the rest. I don't need to walk you through it. Two more. Slowly lower it down. Coming back to that restorative pose, knees are drawing together, feet are apart, pigeon-toed. And again, you're going to notice a little different sensation in your body now. This time, instead of having your hands on your belly, we're going to just wave them up to the sky, maybe shake out the wrists, shake out the elbows, and let the shoulders fall back. We're going to open up our arms, maybe wrists are about 10 inches away from each hip, palms facing up to absorb all the energy you just put out in the room. Start to fall into a normal breathing pattern. No need to count. No need to pause. Feel free to come out of the mouth with a breath, like a sigh. Oh, it's over. Yay, Shavasana. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling from the mouth. Really allowing that whole nervous system to just settle in, drawing towards the earth, feeling the feet connect, backs of the arms, doing a little body scan, seeing if there's any tension you want to just take a few moments to concentrate and breathe in and out of. Otherwise, just let the body draw down into the earth, shoulders dropping, jaw drawing back and down, cheekbones loosening up, eye sockets drawing back. Maybe feeling that center between the eyebrows as it travels through the brain to the back of the skull, maybe right in the middle. You can imagine that little pineal gland, the gland that we work so hard to restore during meditation. Maybe taking the next few breaths and just breathing into that space. Maybe releasing the breath up the top of the head, crown of the head. Always coming back to the breath. Your mind starts to wander. Start to come back to the breath if you've drifted off. Start to wiggle the fingers and the toes, finding some movement again, maybe in the knees, back and forth. Maybe taking a deep breath in, stretching the legs out to the bottom of the mat, hands up to the top above your head, a nice full body stretch, almost as if you're taking a nice deep yawn, inhaling, exhaling. Allowing the left foot to come to the mat with the knee bent, pressing into that foot, lifting up on the hips, turning over towards your right side. If you need any bolster between your legs or a pillow or maybe a blanket under your head, you can grab that. Just try to keep your eyes dimly open. Settling into a little fetal position. Allowing yourself a few more moments of being here and now. Knowing that whatever brings you to the rest of the night or the rest of the week, you can always come back to the breath, to the here and now. Taking the left palm somewhere around the face or chest area, start to press into the left palm as you slowly rise, head coming up last. Maybe coming into a cross-legged pose. Maybe you'd like to sit on a blanket or your pillow. Sometimes I like to put the blocks under my knees, especially after Shavasana. When I sit in a cross-legged pose, it's kind of nice. Just come to a relaxed spot on your mat, sitting down. Drawing the pelvis forward, opening up those shoulder blades. Hands coming to the knees or the thighs. Again, maybe the eyes are closed or dimly open. Taking a nice deep breath through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. One more time. Mindfulness cannot happen in the future, but only in the here and now. It is found in the ordinary, the obvious, the mundane, and the exotic. All it means is bringing your attention and awareness to everything and everyone around you. Even as your mind starts to wander off, its next command, you can bring it back to the now by taking a breath and paying attention to it, unhurriedly, just as it is. And then take another breath, just for good measure. As you're doing that, your mind does not ruminate, but allows you to concentrate on the task at hand. As you increase your practice of mindfulness, you will find that you gradually stop labeling events and thoughts under emotional headings such as negative, irritating, boring, stressful, hurtful, fearful. You will develop a way of observing them and moving on. Hands can come to prayer or hand over the heart, drawing the chin down towards the hands. Thanking ourselves for taking time to come to the practice. Thanking each other for joining in this beautiful virtual space that we've been given. I'd like to thank you for coming, joining, supporting me, and supporting each other. I hope that this helps in some small way to allow you to have, even just for a moment, a little bit of here and now in your day and the rest of the days to follow. Bringing the hands together if they're not in prayer already, allowing the knuckles of the thumbs to come right between the eyebrows, the third eye, closing that intention that we set at the beginning of our practice, whatever that personal message for yourself or for others was, for the universe. Bowing in gratitude and love. I'd like to close with the word namaste. When you're ready, come up. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me again. I love you all to death. Take care of yourselves, and hopefully you can practice during the week. Take a little meditation in. I'll send everything to you at the end of the class. And hopefully I'll see you next week.
Darling, darling, you're beautiful. Gotta keep your head up. Never let anything bring you down. Sunshine will always come around. Stay strong, move on. You have such a beautiful soul. Let your energy radiate.